from the Burkina people, and they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes.
Welcome to AfriPlus News, where we bring you bold, unfiltered African perspectives that the mainstream media won't touch. If you're just joining us, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Disclaimer: this for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on verified public statements, expert analysis, and factual observations. We remain committed to the YouTube community guidelines. This content does not promote hate, misinformation, or violence in any form. In a statement that has sent shockwaves through Africa and beyond, General Michael Langley, the head of U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, made a stunning claim during an interview in Kenya. He suggested that Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the transitional leader of Burkina Faso, is a threat to the United States.
General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso. Yeah. Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traoré, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country. Period. They make their decisions, though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that it's going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traoré took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has, since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command. So, no ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways to be able to, they're still on warfighting footing. It's just going to take more resources.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country, because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue. They're seeking resources. They're seeking recruiting from the Burkina people, and they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Because especially ISIS, and of course, in East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS West Africa, ISIS Sahel. And there's going to be probably a move afoot for them to move and seek refuge within the line. So we have shared objectives, and we offer to work together with the Burkina government and border countries. Mali, Niger, coastal West Africa countries, collective, because here's what these organizations do. Here's what these terrorist organizations do. They seek refuge in the seams or the borders of these countries and lets them thrive and grow and lets them recruit, gain resources to carry on their illicit and nefarious activities against the populations of those people.
And what would America, perhaps AFRICOM, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is AFRICOM prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and I will just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armies. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland. So we're in concert. I was just in African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to
Is Burkina Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes. Yes. They were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right. Speaking of that, because the reaction out of the statements that you made about Burkina Faso were several African leaders feeling you are speaking on sovereignty issues that America shouldn't be. And as a result, there are those who see the role of Africa as less of a partner in, the war against, shared threats, as you mentioned, and more of a protector of Western or American economic interests that allows access to Africa's vast mineral resources, and as more of a paternalistic relationship than one of respect amongst peers. What would you respond to that? I respond that there's others on the globe that do that. There's others on the globe that do that. I'm not even bring it up. We should have even already know, okay? But I'm going to even bring that up. Okay. We respect the sovereignty. We respect their decisions. We respect their decisions of who they choose as a security partner. And then we measure the common denominator that's keeping these countries across the Sahel from progressing forward. In 2050, the largest workforce on the globe is going to come out of the continent of Africa. The youth need hope. They need peace and stability so they can hit their potentials. That's a long-range goal of AFRICOM as we look to help these countries set those conditions for stability and security so prosperity can be presented to all the populations and the youth. Pan-Africanism is real and it's strong, and there's an opportunity to come up on the global stage, and this continent can do it. That's what we really envision. So you're not concerned about China and Russia expanding their military and economic influence across the continent? We are concerned about it, yes. What about it concerns you? Well, their influence. Their influence may not be looked upon as being a positive influence. For who? For America or for Africa? Well, for Africans, okay? And then, so Americans have that
have that in mind, that for the African people and across all countries be able to hit their maximum potential and independence and sovereignty and also freedoms by rules-based international order, being able to get on the global stage and take a leadership role and provide for the people in peace and stability. Some of those aims are not the same.
Do you say it doesn't align with the shared values?
Well, what we watch is it does not. The continent of Africa does not need to be militarized. Let's put it that way. Does not need to be militarized. So we watch. As far as security agreements and what does it mean? Is it really for the stability to fight the threats of a African country, or is it for them and their ability to establish a global hegemon of basis? That's what concerns us.
Right. We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much,
right.
General Michael Langley. Thank you very much for speaking with us on Citizen Television.
A foreign general is claiming that an African head of state is not sovereign and is therefore a threat. But who gave Langley the authority to determine the legitimacy of African leadership? Who gets to decide what makes a leader sovereign, and more importantly, who benefits from delegitimizing one? Is this not the clearest confirmation yet that African resistance against Western dominance is now seen as a threat to imperial interests? Ask yourself, why would the U.S. military chief publicly declare that Captain Traoré is not a sovereign leader? Is this a slip of the tongue or a chilling expression of U.S. foreign policy that views any anti-Western, pro-African leader as dangerous? And what does it mean when a military general, not a diplomat, delivers this judgment? Could this be an early warning that Washington is preparing its media, its allies, and its intelligence network for further destabilization of Burkina Faso? Are we witnessing the beginning of a narrative war designed to paint Traoré as illegitimate, radical, and unsafe in order to justify future intervention? Think deeply. If Traoré is not sovereign in the eyes of the U.S., does that mean a sovereign African leader must be one who complies with Western demands, protects foreign investments, and permits AFRICOM operations? In other words, is sovereignty, in the eyes of the West, defined by submission? Public opinion on this is a clarion call.
Please, whoever want to help Africa to overthrow bad leaders, these are the leaders Africans want you to overthrow them for us. Togo President Faure Yasingbe, he have ruled for 20 years. We see no changes in Togo. We want you to overthrow him for us. Alassane Ouattara, the one Michael Langley visited, the Côte d'Ivoire president, he is 82 years. He have ruled for 14 good years. We see no changes. We want you there. Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria. Nigerians voted for him, they said. But at the end, Nigerians were protesting, saying they don't want him. We need you there if you want to overthrow somebody. We need you there, not Ibrahim Traoré. And again, Yoweri Museveni of Uganda. He is 80 years. He have ruled for 39 good years. Why? Why? Is it their family property? No. We see no changes. Go to Uganda. Our Ugandan people, sisters, people have been raping them in people's countries. Why should it happen like that? If you go to Cameroon, it's bad. Cameroon, Paul Biya is 92 years. He have ruled for 42 good years. Is the presidency for his family? These are the people we want you to overthrow them for us, not Ibrahim Traoré. Ibrahim Traoré is good for Africans, but these people, We need you to overthrow them, not Ibrahim. If you want to help Africa, these are the people we want you to go and overthrow them for us. Thank you. Because we always know you want to help us. If I have missed some of them, let me know under the comment section. Thank you. Stay positive. Together we can, apart we fall.
Let's not forget who Captain Ibrahim Traoré is, a 36-year-old soldier who rose to power through a popular coup in 2022 after years of corruption, foreign manipulation, and insecurity in Burkina Faso. Since taking power, he has rejected French interference, removed foreign troops, aligned with fellow Sahel nations, and loudly demanded that Africa take its destiny into its own hands. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Captain Traoré is not a threat to America. He is a threat to American control. This is not about sovereignty. This is about defiance. Traoré is challenging a system that has used military bases, aid money, corporate contracts, and NGOs to dominate Africa for decades. And now, because he has refused to bow, he is being declared a threat. Is this democracy or dictatorship in disguise? Langley's words reveal something far deeper, that the U.S. does not see African leaders as truly sovereign unless they serve American interests. And any leader who doesn't, like Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, or Muammar Gaddafi, is branded dangerous and disposable. Should we be surprised? Or should we finally accept that Western powers are not here to help Africa? They are here to control Africa. How many more African leaders will be demonized, overthrown, or assassinated before we understand the pattern? Now let's revisit that phrase, not a sovereign leader. What does this mean for the people of Burkina Faso who have risked their lives to support Traoré's revolution? Is Langley suggesting that their voice, their votes, and their vision don't matter? Is the U.S. willing to disrespect an entire nation's will simply because it doesn't align with Washington's agenda? And what about African unity? If Traoré is labeled a threat today, what happens tomorrow when Mali's Assimi Goïta or Niger's Abdourahmane Tiani refuses to follow orders? Will they too be accused of lacking sovereignty? This is not just a political conflict. It is an ideological war, a war between African self-determination and the global systems that have kept the continent on its knees. And Kenya, where Langley made the statement, was no accident. East Africa is seen as a more compliant, cooperative region for U.S. interests, but delivering that message from Nairobi allowed Washington to sidestep scrutiny while testing the waters of African public reaction. Could this be a test run? A way to see how African civil society reacts to the criminalization of revolutionary leadership? And now the most important question. What will Africans do with this information? Will we remain silent while our heroes are declared threats to foreign powers? Or will we speak up and say, finally, our sovereignty is not yours to define? Conclusion. General Michael Langley's statement was not just a diplomatic gaffe. It was a warning. A message to every African nation. If your leader defies us, we will call him illegitimate. If he empowers his people, we will call him a threat. If he dares to dream of a free Africa, we will try to break him. But the days of silence are over. Captain Ibrahim Traoré may be a threat, but not to peace, not to his people, and not to Africa. He is a threat to domination, to imperialism, and to the illusion that African sovereignty must come with foreign permission. So we ask you, our viewers, do you believe Traoré is a threat to America or a hope for Africa? Do you agree that it's time for Africans to define their own leaders, their own development, and their own future without Western interference? Let us know in the comments below. Your voice is part of the resistance. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Here at AfriPlus News, we are not afraid to speak truth to power, because the battle for Africa's mind begins with information, and we are on the front lines. Until next time, stay informed, stay alert, stay African.